Welcome to Organize Zen Now. My name is Janie Downey. Thank you so much for joining me here today. If this is helpful to you, please like below. Please share this content and please subscribe. When you subscribe, it's super helpful to me because it helps YouTube connect me with other users who might also be helped by the content. So I know you're helpful, so thanks for helping. Okay, so Organize Zen really came out of people asking me questions about how I got a lot of stuff done, but never seemed to be too stressed about it. So the basic philosophy is that we've all got good work inside us. There's all things that we really want to do while we're here on our short time on Earth, but there's all these rules and how can I get to this and do I need to do this? So the Zen part really comes from figuring out not just what you want to do, but figuring out a way that works really well just for you. So something that works well for somebody else may not be the thing that works for you. All of this takes some thinking and it takes some analysis and stepping outside your body and looking in to say, wow, what's that girl doing and how can I help her? So I've been doing a series of talks on community and the importance of community and how that ties into Organized Zen. So community can be however you decide to name it, but we all are part of different communities. So this might be your family, could be groups of friends, could be people that you do things in common with, like theater, singing for me. It can also be a third place, which is not work, not home, but a place that you like to go where people know you and you just have fun and you're joyous. So community is important for all of those reasons of people that know you and that you feel connected to. And that's vital when you're trying to do your best work, because sometimes we don't know what our best work is, but sometimes our friends know. They'll say, you know what, here's what I see in you. Or maybe more importantly, when you try something new and you think, I'm going to do this, and it doesn't work, you want to have some community behind you that says, wow, this is why this didn't work for you, or laughs it off with you to say, you know what, why don't you try again? Or it may be that they say, look to us for help. So community can be important for all of those. And when you have a vital community with it, you're also much more likely to take chances because you feel like someone's got your back. And if you fall down, that's fine. And a lot of trying to figure out your best work is stumbling a little bit. And then having community is part of that. So I did a basic talk on community. I did another talk on the Man Up to Cancer community, which is an amazing community. And then today I'm just going to tell you a quick story about a temporary community. And what I think is interesting with temporary community is recognizing that you don't always have to be part of one big thing, but to create community where you find it. So this story happened in Patriots Day weekend of 2012. I was in New York City for an Omega Institute weekend, and I wish they still did these. They don't anymore, but they brought in this terrific lineup of speakers that included Jane Goodall and Al Gore and Arianna Huffington and Nora Ephron. So they were funny stories. They were great stories about people really trying to find their way of what they're trying to do. And I wasn't working on Organized Zen at the time, but you can see that the path, this was seeds of this 10 years ago. Great, inspiring speakers, and then the breakout sessions were terrific as well. So you're surrounded by other people who are interested in same kind of crunchy stuff, and the breakout sessions covered a lot of topics. However, by the end of this conference, it was a full weekend. Debbie and I fully participated in everything. And by that last breakout session, I was pretty tired. So I'm sitting in there, but I'm doodling, I'm drawing. I still remember I was drawing sunflowers, and I'm listening to the speaker, and it was Sharon Salzberg, and she's a terrific Buddhist teacher. And I hadn't met her before then. And she was talking about how important it is to connect and to be in a quiet place. And she really advocates seeing people in your life. So the person that makes a coffee for you at a coffee shop, the guy that delivers your UPS or your FedEx to the door, they're humans, and see them. So she's probably looking around the room and she's seeing people like me who are fried and who are not really connecting, and said, here's my parting gift to you. Look around this room and see the people in this room and imagine that you're going to be stuck with them for eternity. And she said, now that you know that, are they more interesting? And do you want to spend time learning their stories? And of course you did. At the same time, it was the last conference session. and we had to go. It was a wrap up. So great idea, interesting concept. We're stuck with someone for eternity, and out the door we went. So I find Deb. We head out to the front doors of the hotel, and it is pouring rain. It is Patriots Day weekend. It was a wicked storm weekend. Really, a lot of damage everywhere. In New York City, got hit hard with this. So there's all these people going out front. There's very few cabs. So Deb gets in a cab. She's headed to the airport. And I'm like, you know what? There's not a lot of cabs here. I'm just going to walk. I had driven into Connecticut and I had taken a train into the city. So all I had to do was get back over to Grand Central, jump on my train. It was a 5:30 train. I had lots of time, and then I was out and I could drive back to Maine when I got to Connecticut. So I head out in the rain. I'm feeling joyous and full of energy. So what a great weekend. I get to the train station. It's 45 minutes early. Lovely amount of time. They have all those great vendors there. I pick up a salad, a nice croissant, get onto my train. It's sitting there, which is nice. You know, I have somewhere to sit down and not too crowded, and really ponder the weekend. So I'm eating, I'm done. Time for the train to pull out. Train doesn't pull out. 5 minutes go by. 10 minutes go by. 15 minutes go by. People are starting to look at each other like, does anybody know what's happening? So finally a guy comes on the speaker and he says, tunnels are all flooded. Train's canceled. And no, here's where you go next. Here's what we have as an alternative. Go take this, just canceled, just get off the train. So I back up on my stuff, throw my trash out, and I head into the lobby, and I'm like, I'm ready to go home. How am I going to get home? So someone will help me, right? Someone's always there to help you. So I go into the lobby with a few thousand other people who also just got this announcement that their trains were canceled. And there's one kiosk and there's one woman working at it. And everybody's surging up to her and everybody has questions. And I hear somebody ask about getting back to Connecticut, and her answers through this speaker. And it's just like, get on to Connecticut. You're going to run them in. You can take the train to this and the train to that. I couldn't understand a word she was saying. And even if I had, I still wouldn't have understood which train she was talking about. But I look ahead of me and I see this guy, and he's like in a business suit and he looks very efficient, and he's taking notes because he gets what she's saying. So I tap him on the shoulder and I said, are you trying to get to Connecticut? And he says, yeah. And I said, my name's Janie, and I'm also trying to connect to Connecticut. I have no idea how to get there. Can I follow you? And he looks at me and he goes, I have my wife and kids. And I said, that's fine. I'll help you. So he puts out his hand. He goes, my name's Phil. You can follow me. So I start to head off with him, and this other woman comes up to me, and she's a young woman, and it turns out she's a nanny in Connecticut. And she said, I have to get to Connecticut too, and I don't know how to get there. And I said, I don't know either, but Phil knows. We're going to follow Phil. And Phil looks back at us like, oh my God, my wife's going to kill me. So he heads downstairs, and I see his wife and his kids, and they're all huddled together, and they're waiting to find out where they're going. And Phil looks at them. She looks at us. He looks back at us. He's just like, I don't know, like these crazy women are following me. So I introduced myself to her. I'm Janie. She's like, I'm Cindy. Here's the kids. This is David and Anna. We're all trying to get to Connecticut. We're going now as a group. So Phil's already halfway down like the first hallway. So we hustle with our stuff. We've all got like umbrellas and luggage and coats, and we're following Phil and this big crowd, because everybody's trying to get on the train from Grand Central that takes you over to Times Square. So it's move forward, hold back, move forward, hold back. So we finally all squeeze onto this train, and we're like this body of adults protecting these 4 children to get onto this train, and the doors barely close, and it takes off, and just minutes later, of course, we're over at Times Square. But now we got to catch some other train that I have no idea what it is, but we get off, and now I get separated from the group. And I'm like, fine, it's fine. Someone else will help me. There's this crowd surging, so I'm just going to follow the surge of the crowd, and somehow I'll find the train to Connecticut. So I'm moving along through this big crowd, and then I see this clump of people up ahead of me, and it's Phil and Cindy and the kids and Greta, and they're waiting for me. So apparently David, the 10-year-old, said, we're not leaving without Janie. We've already met her. She's part of our group, and we're waiting. And you can just see Phil like, but they waited. I got back with them. He got us to the right train, but now it's a surge ahead, surge back, surge ahead. And finally, the six of us, we squeeze into this train car, and the doors just barely close. And again, we're just around these kids like in a pod. I've never been, it's always crowded on the New York subways. I've never been this crowded. And I look around, and we're on this train for quite some time, as it turns out, and it's just barely moving forward, and it's so crowded. And I look around, and of course I hear the words of Sharon Salzberg, and I hear her say, "What if you're trapped with these people for eternity?" And I'm thinking, I didn't know she meant literally that I might be trapped with people for eternity, but it's feeling like that right now, right? So the train is moving, and it's crowded, and this woman is sitting on this bench, and she's got people leaning over her, and she looks up, and she just starts to wail. She just is freaking out because it's so crowded. And I look at her because she's one of my people, and I just smile like, it's okay. And she looks at me like, you're crazy. But she did quiet down, and the train moves on. And then we get up to Harlem, and the doors had opened at other stations, and it's clear you're not getting on this train. But we get to this Harlem stop, and the doors open, and this big guy just gets on anyway. And you can just feel like the breath goes away from everybody as this guy squeezes in, and the doors close behind him, and he looks around, and he said, "Did I miss something?" And I said, "We're trying to get to Connecticut." And he said, "Mm-hmm." And the next stop, he just got off and went his own way. So the train continues on. We do get to the South Bronx, which is where we were headed. I'd never been to the South Bronx before. We get off the train, and now we're back outside, and we have to go somewhere. I still don't know, again, where we are, but there's the six of us. So at this point, I'm completely bonded with David, the 10-year-old, and because he's been squished up against me. And we get off the train, and I grab his hand, and Greta grabs Anna's hand, and Cindy's carrying stuff, and Phil surges ahead because he's not exactly sure where we're going, but he thinks he knows where the train is that we're going to get. And we head out, and it's pouring rain, and we've got the umbrellas going, and we're going down this slick street, and there's hundreds of people with us, and we're out in the street, and David said, "Where are we?" And I said, "We're in a place called the South Bronx." And I said, "You may never be here again, so let's just enjoy our time here." And I look over to the side, and through all this mist and rain, I see this sign above a big building, and it just says, "Mercy." And I thought, thank you. There's a great message. It's a hospital, but I'm going to take it as a message. So we surge through, we're out in the streets. People are kind of giddy at this point, like, where are we going? So we're approaching a train stop, right? So the big train that couldn't get through the tunnels is going to come through this stop. I have no idea how anybody even knows where this place is, but this giant crowd is surging in, and it's umbrellas, and it's raining. And I'm like, oh my God, we have to go downstairs to get to this, and someone's going to get hurt. And how do you slow this crowd down? And it's crazy feeling. And then some guy yells out to my left. He said, "Hey, we got women and children. Slow down. Let's be careful. Let's watch out for each other." And everybody's like, "Oh, we've got women and children." Didn't occur to us to actually say it. "Let's be careful." And the whole crowd slowed down, and the umbrellas just became this united piece. And we very carefully all went down those stairs. And then this total miracle, a train just pulls up like out of the mist, and it's going to Connecticut. It's taking us back to where we started, and everybody orderly gets on, and we're just soggy and wet, and we're all tired, and we took seats. There were plenty of seats, and it was warm, and it was dry. And I sat down with David, and we just chatted for the 2 hours to get back up to Connecticut. And delightful kid, and he loved theater, so we talked about that. And as we finally got back to our station, Greta had gotten off one before us and headed back to her nanny work with some gratitude. And then we get to the station, and Phil is just ready to get in his car. So we just barely say goodbye, don't exchange any information from these people. But for those like 3 hours, we were this tight little community. And if I had not just come out of this huge session, would I have bonded so tightly with this group, but these were my people. These were my people for eternity, and eternity that night was just those 3 hours. But we got off the train. They went their way. I went back to my car, and I just love this for the ending. So a lot of times in the universe, you're presented with a huge challenge, and then there is a gift out of it. And obviously the gift for me was actually getting back to Connecticut to my car. But I got back to my car, and I turned on the car, and on NPR was this beautiful musical piece. And I just sat and I just listened to it. I expected to hear the news about the weather, and instead I just listened to this beautiful, beautiful piece. And it was the Buddhist prayer for peace was what was playing on the radio. So I listened to that, and then I got back to Maine. So, very long story, maybe, then, but about the importance of community in that instant. And when you can find community like that, this would be my challenge to you this week. So maybe the seeds of that for you are just what Sharon Salzberg said, to recognize the people that you just have a temporary pass through in your life. And maybe it's a situation where, because you reach out and you reach out to someone else, like Greta, that someone helps you, and a perfect stranger can help you just for that temporary time. So be the helper and ask for the help that you need, and form that community wherever it is that you are. So I hope you take that challenge on this week. Thank you so much, and I hope you join me again for more stories from Organized Zen. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks a lot. See you soon.